Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today we're at the BF bench with this nice little bentwood and cane bottom high chair, which has a broken pivot for the tray. And that's going to present some particular kinds of problems. There's a couple labels on here. This one in the back says Patsy Ellen Products of Atlanta, Georgia. But on the bottom of the seat here, where it's very hard to see, it says made in Romania. This is a particular style that was very popular back in the 70s. All the joinery is simply screws and bolts, because each of these individual pieces would have been made at the factory in Romania and packed in a crate flat when it got here to the United States. I'm going to assume that somebody at Patsy Ellen Products put them all together. And our problem today is this broken screw, which is going to be a little complicated. Now, the way it was made and shipped with the tray folded back like this, because covering the screw is a plug, and they've stained and varnished over it on both sides. And before I can get to this screw, I've got to get these plugs out. One of the advantages of furniture that's made to be easy to put together is that it's also easy to take apart. Although I'm pretty sure it's not going to show up on camera. There's a wooden plug here covering this head of this screw. I've got to get it out, and how easy that's going to be is really going to depend upon what kind of glue they used, if they used any glue at all. Sometimes this trick works. Well, it sort of worked. Now I'm just going to have to chip the rest of this away until I can get the screwdriver down in there. Now what I see in here is a flathead screw, and that brings back some bad memories, because back probably about 1976, 1977, my daughter was probably about 2 years old, and I bought a little child's rocking chair for her, which may have come from the same factory where this one was made, because it did say made in Romania on the bottom of it. And it came in a flat box, and I had to put it together, which is not a real challenge, except that all the screws were flathead screws, and half of them didn't have a slot for the screwdriver. Now I can turn my attention to getting out this broken end of the screw. Now there's quite a few tools and devices sold for extracting broken screws and bolts, and they all have one thing in common, which is none of them work on wood screws. Now fortunately, this is not the first broken screw I've ever encountered. We're at the Packard 12-speed precision drill press, where I'm going to put to the test a shop-made tool. This thing with the wicked looking teeth here is a piece of thin wall steel tubing that I cut saw teeth into. And what it's going to do is drill down around the screw, leaving a fairly large hole, but it should be enough that I can give that screw a little sideways push. That plug of wood will break out and the whole thing will come out. That is the plan. Now, as usual, I've got this clamped down 6 ways from Sunday, and I'm not even really sure what that means. But I don't want it moving once this piece hits it, because these teeth are, like I said, they're hand cut, they're not uniform, So there's going to be a lot of vibration when it hits the wood. I have to say, for a piece of pipe, it's a pretty good drill bit. And that is the best case scenario where the screw comes out in the bit. I'm going to let that sit overnight, and we'll be ready to put this back together. The little wooden bead that goes between the tray and the back was lost a long time ago, because that's always the way this sort of thing happens. I'm going to have to make a new one. Now, there's any number of ways to make a little small piece like this, and which way you choose really depends upon how many you're going to make. Because if I was going to make, say, 10, a dozen, or something like that, it might be worth the time to set up the lathe, make some kind of duplicating or repeating jig, and cut out all of them at one time. But I only need one, so I can choose a slightly more tedious way to make one, and actually be less time than making the setup if I was going to be making 100. Now, turning your drill press into a lathe is one of those things that seems like a good idea until you actually try it. But for finishing small parts like this, it usually works fairly well. Probably close enough. One detail I noticed is the original screws had the heads ground down so they would fit into the counter bore. So I've done the same with the new screws. Now after that glue sets, I'm going to sand this down a little bit and a touch of stain, maybe a little filler, and try to make all of this match the original finish as much as possible. Well, this is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, and I thank you for watching this video about this nice little vintage high chair. And I would really appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. Any comments or questions are always welcome on any subject pertaining to furniture or lighting repair, or actually anything else, because I respond to all comments and questions. So again, thank you for watching.